Hello everyone, I'm Pete O'Farrell.
And I'm Jessica Kurgo. This is your June installment of Walpole News Today. As it turns out, $5 million doesn't go a long way. Select Board Chair James O'Neill expressed his closing thoughts following a discussion about how to spend the town's roughly $5.2 million in remaining ARPA funds. The School Committee, Board of Sewer and Water Commissioners, Finance Committee, and the local nonprofit Destination Downtown were each allotted 5 minutes to make a case for their requested uses. The meeting was then open to public recommendations.
This would, we hope, take care of that need, which we really don't believe outside of the kind of panacea of ARPA we would be able to address.
It is something that we have to do. We certainly cannot operate year-round without both treatment plants.
I see a lot of items that are 100,000 and less. Those I would like to see just carry them into our fall town meeting, free cash.
This grant has the potential for really transformational change for downtown and for individual businesses.
I really object to using ARPA funds to things that our town needs to schedule and budget for as part of, regular day-to-day business.
Are you going to buy stuff, or are you going to set guidelines to what you want to do with ARPA?
These affect everybody. It affects the quality of health and life of everyone in the community. And without potable water, you don't have anything.
In the end, it is our responsibility to make this decision. And I can assure you that I take that responsibility very seriously. I'm sure the rest of the board do as well.
At an earlier Select Board meeting, Brian Jarvis with Compass Project Management provided several updates regarding the Johnson Middle School building, the Old Town Hall building, and the ongoing high school feasibility study. Here are some of the highlights from his presentation.
Identify what the cost of those concepts and any time requirements might be, and then group some of those concepts together into options, and the goal would be to prioritize those options most cost effectively.
But for me, it's all about science and STEM.
Understood.
So I'd need to know a lot more about what you can do with those current science classrooms.
I'm less concerned about those facilities and more concerned about the educational facilities.
Some of that work was done in a way that it changed the sort of loading in the building and would need to be done very carefully, and it would probably trigger unforeseen conditions and possibly even code complications.
You have to tell the architect what's going to be the need. Am I going to be a business use? It's going to be a restaurant use? It's going to be housing? So you have to have a direction. You just can't go into it and say, well, we're just going to do it all-inclusive.
Maybe we can't open it up to restore it to its former glory, right? I mean, these are the what-ifs that we need to identify.
We're going to have to do something to make it a more attractive offering to a developer, but we have to think long and hard about how we do that without sinking a ton of money in there.
They look at the whole site, and there's a lot of accessibility issues that would need to be potentially addressed if it were to be developed significantly.
And that just wouldn't be allowed today. So we have, but it's there. So it's already there. Knocking it down means you can't ever do it again, but we've already got that opportunity.
The Board of Health wants to make more residents aware of mosquito population management services offered by the Norfolk County Mosquito Control Project. Local entomologist Caitlin O'Donnell further described the resource and other best practices during her June 7th presentation.
They can use a woodland pool that will then dry up later in the spring and summer. They can breed using water that's sitting in tires. This is a very important breeding habitat for some invasive mosquito species that we're trying to monitor. They'll use toys and gardening tools and pots, potted plants left outside. A lot of these places are things that residents don't always think of as mosquito breeding habitats and where their mosquitoes might be coming from. Throughout the summer, we are constantly setting traps. These are examples of what our traps look like. So if you ever see them out in the environment, just know that that's what they're there for. They're there for mosquito surveillance. It's also very helpful to wear loose-fitting clothing with long sleeves and pants, closed-toed shoes to protect your skin. And I always recommend permethrin-treated clothing to people because that is really the best repellent to protect yourself from ticks as well.
A lot of people didn't know that they can call the Norfolk County, mosquito control, just come in and spray. And it's very important to instruct them that, instruct the Walpole resident that they need to call in March because this is when they can control like the larva from, you need to treat the problem from the beginning, not, just later on during the summertime.
At a later meeting, Public Health Director Melissa Ranieri was happy to report that Walpole's COVID-19 cases have declined from 7% to 6.5% in recent weeks. Here's more from her statement.
For a while there, we were increasing in numbers, kind of beginning, I would say, about March or so. It was a steady increase until the beginning of June, and now we're seeing a decline. So in weeks past, we were about 10%, dropping down to about 7%, and now we're at 6.5%.
At their June 13th public rate hearing, the Board of Sewer and Water Commissioners voted in a 3-2 majority to approve 2 plans for next fiscal year. Here's more from the hearing.
For residential and commercial rates, with suggesting a 2.5% increase for both. And on tier 3, there would be a 5%, and on tier 4, a 7.5%. The new item that would factor into rates would be the fire suppression assessment, and the assessment would be $500, and it affects approximately 100 commercial users.
We need to provide fire protection. This causes us to have a much more expensive infrastructure. And the people who benefit from that should pay for it.
If you calculate all the bills on time, the rate calculation will have 8% lower rates for the customer.
I don't think anybody's following this train of thought. I'm seeing everybody in the audience shake their heads.
What is so hard about gazintas and gazoutas? The old-fashioned, what comes in and goes out, and there's your rate.
A lot of mistakes are made over years, and we're talking 60, 70 years here, and an audit could correct a lot of it, and you'd be surprised how it could lower the expenses.
The good folks of this town, you know, they're trying to stay in the town, you know, but it just keeps getting less and less affordable.
All in favor of the sewer rates that were articulated here by Mr. Abbott? Please say aye. I guess we'll call
Roll
Jeffrey.
call.
Yeah.
Yes.
Pradeep, no.
Pradeep, no. John, yes.
Fasenello, no.
And Bill, yes.
Construction on the new middle school building is set to begin early this summer. The school building committee heard a status update from Compass Architects at their June 28th meeting. Here's more.
With the approval that the fountain will start on site the week of July 11th, and then the fields will be ready for the use of fall sports by August 17th, and then August 22nd, the teachers will have a tour of the building, and August 25th, the sneak preview for the 6th grader, and then August 29th, that teachers return, and all the work outside of the construction fence will be completed, and then so it will be ready for the first day of school.
We got the land disturbance permit that was issued by Conservation Commission. So that has been passed along to Fontaine, and Fontaine is now coordinating their kind of on-site meetings with the Conservation Commission so they can get started construction in July with moving earthwork and the ER1 package. So that is underway.
The Economic Development Commission recently weighed the financial benefits versus the optics of marijuana sponsorships. These and other plans for this year's Main Street Live were discussed at their June 21st meeting. The annual event is scheduled to return on September 16th. Several food vendors have confirmed their attendance, and the commission is in negotiations with at least 6 local bands. No conclusion was reached regarding dispensary sponsorships, but they do plan to revisit the subject in the future. Later that meeting, Director of Community and Economic Development Patrick Deschaines provided an update regarding the Master Plan Strategy Survey, which was open to the public from June 9th through the 30th. The survey sought public response to potential action items intended to reach the 10 goals outlined in the plan. These goals cover a range of issues such as economic growth, environmental preservation, and housing. More information on the 2022 Master Plan, including a complete list of goals, can be found on the town's website.
Abutting residents expressed skepticism surrounding the conclusions of a traffic study at a June 1st Zoning Board of Appeals meeting. Many said that while the applicant has been open to hearing neighbors' opinions, recent modifications to the proposal don't do enough to address traffic and density concerns. The hearing was ultimately continued to July 20th. Here's more from that meeting.
Since we've last met, we made a reduction from 10 units down to 8 units. The building, we've taken out 5 parking spaces and added more green space.
This is a configuration of 6 2-bedroom, 2 baths, and 2 2-bedroom, 1 baths.
As proposed, it is contrary to the zoning act. It's a project that is increasing congestion in the area. It's decreasing public safety. It's decreasing the light and the air that's available. It's overcrowding of the land, and it's decreasing the value of the properties around it.
The traffic is different in summer, winter, spring. You have to be the reality. You have to look at least 3 days, take the average and go. But you cannot do a traffic study for 1 day.
It's going to be a 3-story building which is completely out of the whole neighborhood. There is no 3-story building in the high plane.
I still think we're not there. I think we need to reduce further, quite honestly. I think we're looking at still a lot of units. I think the 3 floors is still a bit much.
Begs the question, can you develop anything anywhere in Walpole and not have an adverse, any additional traffic trip will of course add to the existing traffic.
What can be done to get that, fitting the character of the neighborhood better?
Parents and kids were thrilled for the reopening of the Carolyn Woodward Memorial Playground, which had been under renovation since early spring. Here's more on that story. Carolyn Woodward Memorial Playground reopened earlier this week, having been under construction since late March. Director of Public Works Rick Matson described the construction plans for the playground at an August 25th Capital Budget Committee hearing.
This is for a total replacement and extension of the footprint over there. So you're basically making the playground larger. The equipment that's proposed in this here is a more all-inclusive type playground where it'll capture a wide variety of age groups.
According to Matson's statement, the new equipment is designed with an emphasis on climbing and includes motor sensory devices. The project ultimately received the requested amount of $332,000 last fall.
I think it's fantastic. The new structures are amazing and really love the new surface. It's so soft and the kids are really into everything here. So it's been really great and a nice place to come.
Well, a couple of things with the cushioned floor. If the kids fall, that's a good thing. And they redid the fence, which it needed to be redone from a couple of years ago. And the equipment is just different than what I've seen in other parks. Did you like the zip line? Yeah, did you go on the zip line yesterday?
Yes.
Yes?
Yeah, I know it's the same footprint, I think, but it just feels like bigger and a lot more space and just like a lot of more options for the kids to do different activities, stay here longer, and they have a lot of fun.
The Recreation Department's annual Walpole Day returned this past June 11th for the first time since 2019. Walpole Media caught up with some attendees, as well as Recreation Coordinator Rich Lamari at the event.
So it's an opportunity where the community can get together. Obviously you can see we got our kids zone, so we've got all the kids there on the bounce houses and the train. And it also gives an opportunity for local businesses and vendors to kind of advertise what they kind of bring to the town, etc. So last year we didn't do it, the year before we couldn't do it either. So this is the first kind of welcome back for everybody, and it's just so good that we can get the masses out, I think typically we could get maybe about 5,000 people here, so the more the merrier. And obviously with it not raining as well, it does help, doesn't it?
So earlier today, my son and I, along with Walpole Youth Lacrosse, we had a float in the parade, which was great. It was well attended. I was happy to have everybody out there. And this is always a great day. It's disappointing that we haven't been able to have it for the last 3 years, but we're back here and we got plenty of people out here. We're really impressed. Fisher's got a dunk tank and police officers are getting pies in their faces, so it's always a great day here at Walpole Day.
Obviously it gets everyone out there and it meets the local businesses, but it also gives a chance for people to meet up with members of the town as well and all the various organisations, whether they're committee members or whether they're part of the sports organisations as well. And as you can see, we've got the fire brigade as well and the police. So it's basically a nice community event where it gets everyone involved.
So I think it's a great way to bring Walpole together with having a lot of people here, downtown, centrally located. We got the Chamber of Commerce is represented. We got the Walpole Cooperative Bank. It's just a nice way for the community to come together. We got Leo's Pizza, the Lions Club giving out food. And it's just nice to see everybody out and about. And I think it's been going on for almost 10 years now. it's grown into a really nice event, so I'm glad to see everybody's come out today.
Well, it's nice to see the town gather, you know, it's just, you know, all the young families, young kids, and people having a good time, and it's just, I think it's, particularly in these times, it's much needed for people to see each other again and interact.
And it's just so nice, especially on a beautiful day like today, where you can wander around, you can meet all the vendors again and check in with them. Everyone's kind of together, and even the members of the public, just to see that face and recognise you. I mean, they probably recognise me with my accent, so they tell me their name, and it's like, oh, fantastic, yeah, I remember dealing with you with the summer camp, or I remember dealing with you through the T-ball programs, etc. So it's just a fun day, and it's just so good to be around the people, you know.
Be Inclusive, a local nonprofit organization dedicated to increasing diversity and inclusion, held their 3rd annual Juneteenth celebration on Walpole Town Common. The event was co-hosted with other groups from Norwood, Dedham, and Medfield. Here's more from the celebration.
To a land, to a shining sea, to a land where the children are free. Violence isn't prejudice, and that's something we can't deny. Year in and year out, the homicide numbers continue to go up. They say children are our future, but not if they can't grow up.
The Town Forest Committee partnered with the Neponset River Watershed Association for an invasive plant species removal effort in early June. Here's Walpole Media contributor Shina Jane with more.
The Neponset River Watershed Association and the Town Forest Committee organized an invasive plant clearing at the town forest, where Walpole residents uprooted buckthorn throughout the morning.
We're working on removing some invasive species called glossy buckthorn. And the goal with this work is to overall improve the health of the forest so that there can be more diversity of plants, more diversity of wildlife, and more diversity of insects.
It grows so wild that it basically chokes out all the other plants that are here, plants and trees, and keeps them from growing, stuff like hickory, maple, stuff like that.
Buckthorn outcompetes native plants by rapidly spreading, causing it to be detrimental to the surrounding area.
Birds would eat it, come, and they'd kind of spray everything, and that's how this stuff kind of gets into the other forests all around the state.
You know, crowds out native species, and that's bad because we want the oaks and the maples and the cherries to grow up.
There was a great turnout of volunteers who helped out in hopes of benefiting the community.
Surprisingly, it comes up pretty easily. This was a mess earlier, and now it looks like it's practically farmland, so it's going pretty well.
And we enjoy coming out to the forest, right? We go biking, we hike, we take the dog. We love coming out here, so being able to help out, it means a lot to us. So we like to volunteer at these events whenever we can.
It's a small thing, but you feel good about it, and it does make a difference, especially if everybody was to chip in and do something like this, whether it be this or volunteer at a shelter or wherever,
I love this place. I live 0.4 miles from here. I'm here all the time, cross-country skiing, biking, walking. It's a gem for this town. Young and old love it, and so need to protect it, need to contribute like anything else.
People come out and are able to meet their neighbors. They're engaging with their outdoor environment, getting active, and becoming stewards of the natural world.
Reporting for Walpole News Today, I'm Shina Jane.
The Walpole Farmers Market has returned to Springbrook Park. On opening day, Walpole Media spoke with several vendors and market manager Carol Johnson. Here's more.
This is our 6th year in this location. The farmers market has probably been in existence close to 10 years, but in the previous years we were operating in different locations.
What makes Springbrook Park an ideal location for the farmers market?
It's downtown Walpole. When you give people directions, I tell them that we're on Route 27 East Street, and the town hall is in back of us, and the town takes care of this land, and they do a beautiful job.
Market manager Carol Johnson's involvement began with the elementary school garden project, which continues to provide produce for the market each year.
Not all your lettuce comes from the supermarket, from Stop and Shop. People actually grow it in their own gardens, and it's good. It's wonderful, and it's good for you. And I think that message is so important. We grow plants, and we talk about nutrition and good food, and that's an important message, I think, for children today. I'm very lucky that I have wonderful people who volunteer with me. Kathy Garvin, she is the head nurse of the school system, and she and other school nurses, as well as Maria Hall, she's a school nutritionist. They really initiated the school gardens. And so now, of course, all 4 schools have gardens. And today, the last time I looked, we had 3 of the schools bringing produce for today, the opening day.
I mean, I've helped set up a couple of times in the past, so I've been very familiar with it, but I love doing farmers markets just to kind of connect with people and just to kind of, you know, get our products out there. So it is locally grown, which is awesome, and it tastes super fresh.
This is my 3rd year. I came here in the beginning of the pandemic because a lot of markets weren't open. And the people here were so nice, and the customers were really appreciative that we were here. But it's a great place. There's a lot of wonderful vendors here, and I hope to see you soon.
In your view, what is it about Walpole's farmers market that makes vendors want to keep coming back?
I think they like each other. They support each other. And we have the Boy Scouts come they started last year. The Boy Scouts arrive as people are setting up. They help you unload, they help you put up your tents, and then they come back at the end of the market and help people break down. And the Boy Scouts are such a gift to us. So I know vendors are, number one, appreciate that, but they also like the fact that the other vendors are happy and support each other, buy from each other, and that's a good market.
Many vendors echoed that the Walpole Farmers Market fosters a strong sense of community and support.
When I started out at the market, I was, in sophomore year. I didn't have a lot of public speaking skills, and the market really was allowed me to connect to people that I wouldn't normally, and reach a larger audience that I wouldn't normally have been able to reach, and just form connections that I didn't think I would be able to form. Carol, the head of the market, is super nice, and with her I've been able to accomplish a lot more than I ever would have thought. The Walpole Farmers Market has the sweetest people, and it's just such a warm and welcoming community, so I would definitely encourage anyone to come out here and visit.
Yeah, it's just a really great community. The vendors here are really well connected, and there's such great produce and crafts, and it's just, it's really great. I love being here.
The market is open every Saturday from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. until October 22nd, so be sure to stop by.
Golden Opportunities for Independence, or GOFI, is a nonprofit organization that breeds, raises, and trains service dogs that will be given to disabled members of the community. The dogs treat a multitude of physical and psychiatric disabilities ranging from ALS to PTSD. Here's more on that story.
Pauline Hegler, the executive director of Golden Opportunities for Independence, was a registered nurse for 25 years and trained golden retrievers for 30 years. She started GOFI because a friend who is paralyzed thought a service dog would be beneficial to her lifestyle. The very next day, another friend who had been in the Peace Corps visited Pauline and said she wanted to start a service dog program.
So it was really destiny that it came about, and that was kind of the final push that said, let's just do this. I've been breeding the dogs, so that was kind of the base. I knew I had in my bloodlines the things that are really needed for a service dog work, the trainability, the retrieve drive, the instincts, the ability to really hone in on people and be really intuitive into people's needs. So I'd been breeding specifically for therapy dog work, transitioned the breeding bloodlines a little bit to get a little bit more drive, and just kind of blending here and there to really get the perfect dog suitable for the job. It started with 4 volunteers and 2 dogs, and we doubled our numbers every single year. We have more than 300 volunteers at this point, and just graduated 22 dogs with I don't know how many beyond that, and a very long waiting list.
Chances are when you think of a golden retriever, the Gophie dogs don't immediately come to mind.
Yes, they are English golden retrievers. So like I said, I've been breeding these for a particular temperament. My first dog that I imported from Europe was amazing with all of those qualities. He was very birdy, he loved to retrieve, would go all day, but would go in the house and lay down at the end of the day. So with that in the bloodlines going forward, it was just kind of a natural progression. But because of that dog, I investigated the European bloodlines, did a lot more importing from that same breeder that I knew to get that same quality, and to this day I still work with the same breeder in, unfortunately, the Ukraine. So I've lost touch recently, but hoping to hear back from her again soon.
Their funding comes from multiple sources.
We do have some grants that come through, but primarily through our fundraising efforts, our events, and individuals that make donations.
Gophie is always looking for volunteers.
We try and fit people into the right thing for them. So if someone comes and said they want to volunteer, they've been doing marketing at their job and they're just done with the rat race, then by all means come on in, help us with our social media campaigns, our event campaigns, writing up brochures for us. We have needs for, like I said, people that just want to come handle a dog, walk a dog a couple times a day, to cleaning. Our website is gophidog.org, so GOFIDOG.org, and there is a volunteer application on the website. There is paw donate buttons on the website, so every little bit helps, and every volunteer makes our program what it is.
For Walpole News Today, I'm Tamara Green.
Walpole Media Corporation is still seeking candidates for the organization's board of directors. The election is set to be held in September, and the 2-year term begins in October. Anyone interested in running for a position should email info@walpolemedia.tv to learn more.
Yeah, Pete, we really do have a great organization here, and I'd love to see it grow more in town.
It really is. It's fun, and there's a lot of stuff that you can get involved with, and would love to see you down here. That's about it for us today.
That concludes our show this month. More on all of today's stories can be found on our YouTube channel. For Walpole News Today, I'm Jessica Kurgo.
And I'm Pete O'Farrell. We'll see you next time.